Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have something incredible to take a look at. We have another Ancient Era Artistry release, and this is by far one of the coolest ones that they have released. This is the Acro attack scene. So basically it's two Acrocanthosaurus just kind of running along, splashing through some water, which is really cool in its own right. You will notice that the figures aren't perfectly into the base right now, and I haven't glued them in or anything quite yet. I wanted to keep them unglued until I actually, of course, get the review done, so I will get them glued in and it will look a little bit more, natural, I guess, once we get to that point. But as you can see, there are two different Acrocanthosaurus just splashing through, obviously hunting, and, we have two different poses for them, as well as a good bit of character to these. I love how much Ancient Era Artistry really puts into their models to kind of give them character and give them a uniqueness with each and every release. But these two are fantastic, no questions asked. Let's go ahead, move the camera up a little bit, readjust it, and then we'll get a closer look. So my goal here was to create a male and female. So one I gave a pretty flashy coloration to, maybe a little bit too flashy, I don't know, but it is what it is. I think it looks pretty cool. But you can see again that this is my take on the male, and my camera didn't want to focus there. Starting here in the head sculpt looks absolutely fantastic. You can really see how nice the skin texture is. I love the fact that we have some really nice fine texturing. Focus, camera. And then we've also got some larger, more vibrant scales you'll see popping up here and there, up there in the snout as well. We can see the nostril is sculpted out. This one, actually both of them, but you can see obviously this one has its mouth sculpted in an open position. Inside the mouth, you'll find the tongue in there, and as per usual, some really impressive fine detail, of course, all throughout the inside of the mouth. We can as well see the teeth in there for our dinosaur. Same deal for the lower jaw. But one thing that's really cool that you see when we come over here to this side is the fact that this one is actually blind. We have a blind eye sort of a look on this one, as there are like scars that move through. Now, of course, I made it blind. I would imagine I could have just painted it and made it look like it is just a regular, everyday Acrocanthosaurus that just has a scar near its eye, but I felt like it was just too cool of an idea to pass up to make this one look blind in one eye, just to add a little bit of character and life to it. But obviously we can see the head is turned in this direction, again turning toward its right, kind of following the lead of the other Acrocanthosaurus. When we come up to the top of the head, you can see how nice the skin texture is as well up here. These two are in 1/57th scale, and you can purchase the Ancient Era Artistry models in numerous different scales, so if you want really large versions of these guys, you can go that route. As you move down through the body of the Acrocanthosaurus, the detail may be a little hard to pick up on this one because there is just so much going on when it comes to the paintwork, but as you can see, we do have some nice ridges that follow along the spinal column, as well as, a few rows of scoots following along the ridges as well. Of course, in the spinal area of our Acrocanthosaurus, as you move down, you can also see the arms are sculpted beautifully. Also, they're both in slightly different positions, as one is kind of held a little bit further forward on this side as opposed to the other one that's held back a little bit. We can make out the musculature of the arm very nicely, as well as the fingers moving down, and the claws also sculpted quite nicely. Moving back into the stomach, there's some very nice looking skin detail here. You can see kind of like some skin wrinkles and folds, as well as skin stretching, of course, because the dinosaur is running along, so you would definitely see the skin reacting there in the stomach, being kind of pulled as this leg is trailing. Moving up through the stomach, again, it's very fine, but you've got some beautiful scale detail all throughout the stomach. Kind of let the light hit it there and see if it shows it off to you guys. Moving up, a few more skin wrinkles here in front of the thigh. As we lead up, we can make out the hip bone up here, as well as, again, perfectly sculpted musculature here within the leg, where it looks really impressive, but not like overly defined, which is definitely nice. Same deal as we move down into the calf muscle. We can also see some creasing in the knee, and then you move down into the foot sculpt, and as you can see, it's connected to this little piece of the water, basically, where it's the water splashing as the dinosaur is running through. We can see how the toes are kind of bent and, leaving the ground as the dinosaur focus is running along at quite a high speed. And all of the waves and ripples in the water are very nicely sculpted as well. And as we move back up, you will also notice, again, scars and injuries all throughout the course of the dinosaur, some of which I have elaborated a little bit, some of which I've just kind of ignored, so it looks like it's scars that have kind of blended back into the body as time goes on, and they, the wounds healed, basically. And then we move out into the tail, and you will notice this very big kind of like open area here, and that's because there's actually kind of like a little peg on the side of the tail of the other one that slides into this area of the tail of this Acrocanthosaurus, and that's one of the ways that you basically connect them together to help them stabilize on the base. But as we move out, again, you've got a really nice tail sculpt that curves away from the dinosaur, so you can see that kind of almost S-like formation of the body here as it's running along. And again, as I mentioned, I did go a little bit probably overboard when it comes to the patterns and stuff on this one, but I thought it looked pretty cool, and again, fairly natural, but in a flashy way, so I just went with it and tried to create my best, most handsome-looking male Acrocanthosaurus. And as we move back, of course, you're going to see the head now turned away from us on this side. Again, the detailing there in the neck and throat looks really good. All sorts of skin wrinkles, especially right in this area because the jaw's opening, so it would definitely be wrinkling that skin up right there. The arm is held back a little bit further into the body on this side compared to what we saw on the other side. You can also see some wrinkles there in front of the leg as, again, that leg is pushing into the stomach, wrinkling the skin. This foot sculpt is completely visible to us if my camera focuses. As you can see, the toes bending, and I love that each of the different toes are kind of bent in a slightly different position as the dinosaur is running along, and this foot is extending out to kind of plant down on the ground. Definitely really nicely detailed as far as that goes. And as you move up, again, the musculature completely showing beautifully here throughout the course of the leg, as well as skin wrinkles and folds moving back, and again the tail curving here toward us on this side, which looks, again, really, really nice. And of course you have the underside of the dinosaur as well, which is beautifully detailed. So that is one of the two. Then we've got this one, which again is a little flashy, but I tried to go for more of like a dull, maybe female sort of a coloration for this version of the Acrocanthosaurus. So as we move through, you can again see the detailing is pretty close to the same sort of style, scale detail where it's nice and fine, but then you've got some of the larger scales and stuff. You kind of have like those little crests up and over the top of the head, just like we saw in the other one. Again, the mouth is open on this one. The mouth is actually open a bit wider on this one compared to what we saw on the other one, which gives us a chance to really see the inside of the mouth again in a more visible and obvious way. We can see the tongue in there really nicely sculpted. Same deal as far as the detailing here on the inside of the mouth and the upper side. Again, really impressive. We've got all of those teeth showing as the Acrocanthosaurus is about to come in for a bite and kill whatever it is chasing down. As we move back, this one actually has its head kind of tilted a little bit. So if you look here from the front, you can see not only is the mouth wide open, looking extremely intimidating, but the head is tilted. So it looks like whatever they are hunting is right off to the side, and it's about to come in again for that bite. As we move back, you can see the tilt again reflected within the skin texture of the dinosaur. There, man, it really didn't want to focus. Of the Acrocanthosaurus here in the neck, you can see all of the different skin wrinkles and folds as well as you move through. Same deal when it comes to all of the wrinkling here in the throat. Again, with the mouth wide open, you would definitely expect to see that. We've got the ridges following along the back, just like we had seen on the other one. And the skin texture, again, looking gorgeous as you move through. It's very fine. I don't know why my camera doesn't want to focus on it today, but it's very fine skin texture and scale detail, but you will, of course, see it popping up here and there. I tried to dry brush some of the detail out on this one a bit more than I did on the other one to really help highlight some of the skin texture of the dinosaur. You've got, again, those scoots following along the back, a nice little cluster of scales right here, a little bit larger scales up above the hip region as you move through. The arms are held almost in the same position on this one. We've got the musculature shown off again really nicely moving down, the fingers as well looking excellent, the claws looking nice and genuinely sharp, which is a great thing. As we move back, some more skin wrinkles here in the stomach region right there. Trying to get this foot out of the way so my camera stops focusing on the foot rather than the stomach. But as we move back, we can also see that the leg is definitely held up a whole whole lot higher than what we saw on the other one. The leg is really up there on this one, but you can see all of the muscles again flexing, the hip bone kind of protruding slightly through the skin right there, the kneecap and the front of the leg, and a nice big bulging calf muscle, all of the skin stretching off of the tail as well as the dinosaurs running along. We can also see the scoots moving down the toes, and of course the fact that the foot is in a slightly different position. The toes are really curled on this one as they're about to extend when the foot is coming back down. I really like that. Obviously this Acrocanthosaurus looks to be coming in for the primary attack, and the other one is going to kind of loop around the side and come in from the side, I guess, for an attack as well. But as you move back, again, you can see the tail looking really good when it comes to the sculpting and texturing aspect. Again, a little bit of a curve, but not quite as sharp as what we had seen on the first one. We do, again, have this little section that extends out because, as I mentioned, again, that kind of goes into the other Acrocanthosaurus to connect the two. When we look at this one from up above, you can see the tilt of the head really nicely, but also the twisting of the body as it's, again, coming in for that kill. The head, again, tilted on this side, looking really cool. The arm, again, in pretty much the same position, but maybe held slightly further up into the body over here. We can also really see the tensing in the neck as the dinosaur, again, is coming in with so much force for that bite. You can really see the tensing in the neck right there. Again, we've got the musculature back here in the leg as the dinosaur is running along. We can also see more of the nice looking, very fine scale detail here throughout the course of the dinosaur. And then we move back out again into the tail as you move through. But you can also see the foot here is pretty much out of the water. Like it's just the toe picking up at this point. And the splash is a good bit larger on this one because this Acrocanthosaurus kind of appears to be moving again at a little bit of a higher speed, I think, potentially anyway, than the other one. So you can really see how the splash is quite large as the dinosaur's foot is leaving the ground, as this one, again, really moving in with some significant speed. So the two Acrocanthosaurus are fantastic. And then we also have the base. The base is basically just a nice little watery area. You can see a few little stones here and there on the side, basically moving through the water. Obviously, they're in a bit of a shallow area of water. And what's cool is I was able to get this one, actually, the Acrocanthosaurus were printed in like a translucent resin, and because of that, the base as well was created in a translucent resin, which means when I was able to paint it, I was able to paint it in a way where you can still see through it, and it does still look translucent, so it helps to give the water, I think, a little bit more of a realistic look, which is a huge plus. But you can see, again, all of the, ripples and everything here throughout the water, kind of the way they're reacting around the stones and stuff that are sitting in the water. A really nice base as well for these gorgeous Acrocanthosaurus. And you actually can see over here the date that this was created, which is 2023 right there. So I'm going to go ahead and get these guys glued on the base, and then we'll check out the final product once it's all together. So there they are now, officially glued into the base and looking super, super cool. It is by far one of the absolute most incredible dioramas that I now have in my collection. Talk about amazing seeing two hunting Acrocanthosaurus. But at 1/57 scale, for a length on one of the two, you are looking at a little bit over 7 inches or around 18 centimeters, and then for a height around 3 inches or 7.5 centimeters. The other one would probably be roughly in the same similar size range. It's going to be a little harder though to tell because the tail's curved. But for a size comparison, to help give you an idea of the size of these models in this scale, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, Robert Muldoon, and the Collect Day Human Being, next to our Acrocanthosaurus from Ancient Era Artistry. And as you can see, again, at 1/57th scale, they are, of course, a bit on the smaller side, which means that at this scale, they are a very convenient size to fit into pretty much any collection without taking up too much room. Again, as you can see, they are nice and compact, but you can also get them at a much larger size. I think you can go like 1/35th scale, you can go like 1/20th scale. I don't know that for sure, but I'm pretty sure Ancient Era Artistry had mentioned at one point that they were going to be releasing their models in pretty much any scale, and you could contact them to inquire further about which scale you would like to have your models released in. So something to keep in mind when it comes to their releases. But I believe just on their website, you just have numerous different options as far as which size range you would like to go, which means that we don't really need to do any more comparisons because it wouldn't make sense. You can basically get them in whatever size you want. So head on over to the website and inquire further there about purchasing them in the size range that you prefer. But at 1/57th scale, this is what they look like. So Ancient Era Artistry, as always, just knocking it out of the park. Everything they create is so well done and so insanely highly detailed. I honestly can't think of anybody or anywhere that you can go find dinosaur models that are of a higher quality and of a more highly detailed visual than what you find on Ancient Era Artistry. What I also love about them is, as I mentioned, they add little things into their models like scars and injuries and stuff like that, just to add some, personality to the models, which is a very impressive aspect, but also a major dose of realism, things you would find on these animals if they were still alive, which of course is great to see reflected in models like this, making them seem more lifelike. What I also love about Ancient Era Artistry is the fact that they often create their models in really cool dioramas. Basically, there's usually a scene taking place of some kind, and that's also really fun because not only do you then have an impressive dinosaur model, you also have a story being told before you, and I think that is, of course, something that is extremely important when it comes to creating dinosaur models like this. So I have to, as always, give them major props for that. But again, absolutely incredible Acrocanthosaurus here from Ancient Era Artistry. The sculpts on both are extremely well done, sporting every and any ounce of detail you would expect to find. They're also very cool when it comes to the pose, and again, the fact that you have two hunting Acrocanthosaurus, does it get cooler than that? I don't know. I couldn't think of anything cooler than that. And they're, again, really nicely posed together. Obviously, they're briefly touching with the tail as the Acrocanthosaurus are kind of turning in to come in for the kill on whatever it is that they are pursuing. I love the way that he's created the water and the splash effect and everything down there in the water as the dinosaurs are splashing through and running along. And both of them look so ferocious, but just so natural and so realistic. You can very clearly see he created these to reflect the actual animal, not like some sort of movie monster version of the animal. So I love that as well. But if you are interested in acquiring these, I will include links in the description to where you can do that on the Ancient Era Artistry website. And I, of course, will also include links to their social media accounts where you can follow them, stay up to date on everything that they are creating and releasing. So make sure you check all of that out. Absolutely pick this model kit up. You will love it. And like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.